Hi, and welcome. I'm Lisa Fain, CEO of Center for Mentoring Excellence, and here in my capacity as a member of the board of the International Mentoring Association for the continuation of our series of interviews with mentoring experts. And I am delighted to be here today with my colleague and friend, Dr. Linda Searby. I want to tell you a little bit about Linda before we dig in. She is a clinical professor of educational leadership at the University of Florida and the co-editor of the International Journal of Mentoring and Coaching in Education. She's a member of the executive board of the International Mentoring Association. She's published over 20 peer-reviewed articles on mentoring research, specifically on the development of a mentoring mindset in the protege, which is a research that I've cited several times, as well as conducted numerous presentations and trainings for mentors and proteges. She's the co-editor of the book Best Practices in Mentoring for Teacher and Leadership Development, and a co-editor of the Wiley-Blackwell International Handbook of Mentoring. She is the leader of numerous mentoring trainings and initiatives on the campus of the University of Florida and has been awarded the Fulbright Specialist designation in the field of mentoring. Linda, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So let's just dig right in. I would love to know what you want to share about your work in the mentoring space in higher ed.
I've been in higher education now for 15 years, coming from the field of school leadership and K-12 education. And when I went into higher education for the first time, becoming a college professor, I needed mentoring. I had never done any kind of scholarly writing except for a dissertation, and I never published from it. So now entering a job where I was expected to crank out 2 or 3 published articles a year in peer-reviewed journals and advising doctoral students and teaching classes that were all new, brand new. I needed a lot of mentoring. And so I actually sought out mentors. Some worked out, some didn't. And finding a lack of information that I needed to be successful, I actually formed a peer mentoring group of other junior faculty who were on a tenured track at my first position. And we formed a monthly support, and we banded together and went out to seek the information that we needed to be successful. We invited senior professors to come to our meetings, and we asked them questions, and we asked them to explain the tenure and promotion process. And we shared our writings with each other and became peer editors to each other and so forth. So I got into mentoring just basically because there was a need for it for myself, and I could see there was a need from my colleagues and my other junior colleagues as well. So that got me very interested in the topic of mentoring. And since I was interested in it, I was advised to write about the things you're interested in. So I turned that topic into a research agenda for my career in higher education as well.
I love that. It's such an unusual entry into the mentoring space to do that in the form of group mentoring or peer mentoring. So you probably learned a lot about how to create effective group dynamics as well as to create effective mentoring relationships.
Yeah, we were learning as we went along, for sure. I should add that I also had one selected mentor who happened to be Lois Zachary. I think you know her.
I know her.
And yes, your mother, the prolific mentoring author, and she agreed to mentor me for a year. And I really learned a lot about mentoring by being mentored from your mother, the expert mentor.
Wow, that's great. That's great. I know what a valuable relationship that was for her as well.
Absolutely, for me too.
Yeah. So you focus a lot on mentoring faculty in higher ed. What do new faculty need to know about mentoring?
Well, I'm going to use some quotes, if you don't mind, from a blog that I just read yesterday, and it's from Carrie Ann Rockamore. She is the founder of the National Center for Faculty Development and Diversity. And I just found this blog to sum up so many things that we know about mentoring, not all happy thoughts. And let me just point something out here. She said, I was once in a meeting with the president, chief diversity officer, and dean at a small liberal arts college. The president launched our conversation by confidently insisting that while lots of people talk about the importance of mentoring, nothing really works. Nobody's figured it out. None of the existing program models have rigorous enough measures, and all any program can really do is make people feel better. Well, she goes on to say that that very same day, she met with a great many faculty members on that campus who were desperate for mentoring. And like most other pre-tenure faculty members, they had trouble finding mentors, and they wanted mentors. So she said, basically, on the one hand, there's this pervasive sense that mentoring is something like mystical, uncontrollable, unpredictable relationship between senior and junior faculty. And on the other hand, there are faculty members who want help and aren't getting it, and are not as productive as they could be because of that. Then she goes on to make some recommendations. So the one thing I want to say about this is that there is this universal assumption that new faculty need mentoring, but it's kind of left out there hanging like, okay, well, we're going to pair this person with that person, and why don't you two have coffee together? And that's mentoring. No, but there are other very different paradigms in play mentoring. What do you mean by mentoring? You're going to get like 30 different answers. Yeah. In fact, a friend of ours, Nora Dominguez, did her dissertation on doing a meta-analysis of the mentoring literature. She found over 150 definitions of the word mentoring in the mentoring literature. Yeah. So because of that, there is some confusion about what mentoring is, and each person has his or her own opinion about that. But the thing that this author, this blogger, emphasized was that the individual professor should be the one to seek out the mentors and be brave about it, and start by identifying what one's needs are.
That's great.
And then I'll go on and talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more. And for those who are watching, I will get the link to that blog post, and we'll put it in the comments for the YouTube video, so you can reference that as well. So I love what you said, and I call the phenomenon of just kind of matching people up and hoping that it succeeds, pair and pray. You pair people and you pray that it succeeds, right? What do you think is the essential ingredient? If it's not matching and it's not prayer, what is the essential ingredient for successful mentoring?
Well, can I speak specifically to higher education faculty successful mentoring? Yeah, yes. Okay. Please. Since we're kind of on that theme today, I would say, first of all, the word intentional needs to be emphasized. And that's intentional on both the mentor and the mentee's part. But first of all, I would say it's the mentee, it's the junior faculty member who needs to take the initiative, not just sit around waiting for someone to wander by the office and say, oh, are you looking for a mentor? I'd be happy to be one. No, the mentee, the new person, the person who needs to do the most learning, should take the initiative to find a mentor. And the way one does that is to look around and look who looks successful to you, has achieved the kind of things that you want to achieve, has walked the walk that you want to walk, is publishing in the field that you want to publish in, or at least is very successful in publishing, perhaps successful in gaining grants, and that's a big thing in getting promotion. And so, there are things that you need to learn about that, and probably from more than one individual. So as Carrie Ann Rockamore emphasizes in her blog, a network of mentors, or the mentoring mosaic, we sometimes call it, or the mentoring, what other words, Lisa, do we use besides mosaic and network?
Yeah, the board of advisors, right? Personal board of advisors. Lattice, yeah.
Right. So you may have different mentors that you reach out to for different purposes. And so that's one thing I think is necessary for success, is for the mentee or the junior faculty person to take the initiative. And then hopefully the people that are chosen as mentors will have a commitment and be intentional about it as well. So it's more than just having coffee once in a while, although that can certainly be part of it. You know, we have occasional mentors, but as your mother certainly proposes in her many books, and you do as well in your Bridging Differences books, it's good to have some structure and to propose some structure to those mentoring relationships. For instance, say, I would like to ask you, Dr. Smith, if you would be my mentor, or if you could coach me on some things that I want to learn about being successful in higher ed. And in doing that, could we meet once a month? Let's meet for breakfast, and I will pay for that breakfast. I'll always come with the agenda. I'll have things in mind that I want to pick your brain about. And if you could just share with me and do that on a regular basis for say 9 months, and we'll check in maybe like halfway to see how it's going. But I have some learning goals I want to propose to you, and wondered if you could help me reach those goals. So how would you feel about that, Dr. Smith? So, you know, that put some structure to it. And then you have things on your calendar, you have goals that you're working towards, you have some accountability for reaching those goals and so forth. So those are keys, in my opinion, for a successful mentoring relationship. And that you should do that multiple times with others as well, not just one particular person, but you may have a network or multiple mentors in your life.
Yeah, I love that you put specific words to the ask, Linda, because I think what a lot of people, you know, particularly I'm guessing in the higher ed junior faculty members may feel intimidated that, you know, here I am having an ask of somebody who is more senior than me to give of their time. So my question to you on that is, what would you say to a prospective mentee who said, you know, I'm afraid to ask Dr. Smith, using those words because it's a lot to ask of Dr. Smith?
I would say that you're probably, your fears are probably somewhat unfounded, because I think that Dr. Smith would actually be very honored that you would ask for that relationship, for his advice or her advice. And if Dr. Smith says no, it's probably nothing to do with you. It's probably because either number one, Dr. Smith really is overloaded and has a full plate and knows her own boundaries and wants to say, stay in those boundaries, or she may actually not really feel confident about being a mentor, but doesn't want to say that. But it probably has nothing to do with you. So just be brave and make the ask, and also have in the back of your mind option number two. And so don't take it personally, and then go to your second choice. That's what I would say.
Yeah, and she may also say, I can't meet once a month, but I would love to be there for you if you've got specific questions on blah, 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 blah. And then you've created a different kind of relationship, and that's a win too. I love that.
Absolutely.
I cite your work on mentoring mindset often, Linda. I think it's just brilliant. And I know this wasn't part of our scheduled questions, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you just to talk a little bit about what a mentoring mindset is and why you think it's important.
Right, I'd be happy to. Well, this stems from some research I did actually very early on in my higher education career. I wanted to ask mentors, what in your mind constitutes a mentoring mindset in a protege or a mentee? So the perspective came from the mentors, what they wanted to see in a protege. And I interviewed quite a few mentors, and I came up with a framework, what I would call the mentoring mindset in the protege. And it included things like the protege or mentee, whichever term you prefer. The mentee takes initiative. The mentee is relationally savvy, is relational. The mentee is a good communicator. The mentee is ethical, and so forth. There were 5 different characteristics in the framework, and I'll be happy to send that to you as well for a link for this video. And so basically it can almost be turned into a self-assessment for the mentee to think, am I these things that the mentor wants in me? Or they might provide food for thought for the mentor and mentee to discuss together, because the absence of that mentoring mindset usually results in less than satisfactory relationship on the part of the mentor with the mentee. The mentors, would tell me when I would say, can you talk about someone who didn't seem to have a mentoring mindset? And I got like all the opposite characteristics, doesn't take initiative, doesn't follow through, doesn't answer my emails, doesn't seem curious, doesn't seem to have set goals, so there's the presence of the mentoring mindset, and there can be the absence of a mentoring mindset. And of course, this can be a tool then for self-evaluation for a mentoring relationship, or for a mentee to know, okay, this is what a mentor wants in me. Maybe I can work on some of these things.
Yeah, love it, love it. If someone listens to this video, what message do you want to leave them with?
I think that I want to leave them to leave with the message that mentoring is more complex than you think it is. I think everybody in the world assumes they know what mentoring is and how to do it. It's just a more experienced person giving advice to a less experienced person, right? Well, no, that's not all there is to it. I mean, there's been lots of research that has been done that tells us what the functions of mentoring are, that there are career functions and that there are psychosocial functions. But it's more complex than just two people meeting and the wiser person sharing his or her life experiences. One of my favorite phrases when I talk about mentoring and do mentor training, I say, mentoring is not telling, mentoring is asking. Learning to ask the right questions, the good questions, the probing, open-ended questions, and resisting giving the advice, resisting telling a mentee what to do. Because we all know with adult learners that the ownership of behavior comes when the adult learner comes up with the idea. And none of us really like being told what to do, but we love it when someone can guide us to making our own decisions. And so mentoring is not telling, mentoring is asking. And that's, I guess, the message I would like to convey. And just learn more about it. Learn how to be a better mentor and learn how to be a better mentee, because there are some skills involved that can be improved upon.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. And it's, what, in some ways it's also a reassurance for mentors who sometimes fear like that they have to have the right answer for their mentee. And the answer, I think what I'm hearing you say is they don't have to have the answers. They got to have really good questions. They've got to be curious. They've got to be engaged, but they don't have to have all the answers. And that's really powerful, I think, as well.
Absolutely. You are so right.
Yeah. Well, Linda, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and your great research in mentoring, and also your commitment to IMA. You've done so much for this community that, I just want to make sure that people watching the video know that as well. We will connect those links that we talked about in the below the video. And Linda, what's the best way for people to find you?
I'm going to give them my Yahoo address, which is just lindasearby@yahoo.com.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for your time. What a great conversation.
Thank you, Lisa. It was really a pleasure to be here today and have the conversation with you.